Welcome to the College Football Bros. I'm Michael Newman.
I'm Ryan Newman.
And I'm Trey Newman.
All right, we have reached the SEC in our head coach rankings week, the final Power 5 conference we're going to go through. But be sure to subscribe to the channel because we'll also be ranking the top 15 head coaches overall in the country. But let's get started here with number 14. It is Zach Arnett of Mississippi State. Been very good as a defensive coordinator, both at San Diego State and then, of course, at Mississippi State before, of course, now getting the head coaching job. And, you know, he's never been a head coach before, and pretty much everybody on the list ahead of him has head coaching experience and at least accomplished something positive. So kind of felt like you had to put him 14th.
Yeah, I do like him, though. I think he could do a good job. Number 13, we have Clark Lee from Vanderbilt. He took over a winless team from Derek Mason, so this place was certainly a mess when he got there. But they're in a much better spot now. They were 2-10 in his first season. Then this past year they were 5-7. He had some big wins over Florida and Kentucky later in the year, and they have kind of at least what looks to be their QB of the future, AJ Swan. Stop looking at me, Swan. He's done about as well as you could have expected, though. I mean, so maybe he deserves a little bit more credit than he's getting. But if he makes like a bowl game, though, he's got to jump up. At Vanderbilt, if you make a bowl game, it's great. And considering where they were just a short time ago, so they're on the right track. Just taking that next step is the hardest, though. You know, you got him from the floor, but taking that next leap is hard.
Mm-hmm. All right, moving on to number 12. Eli Drinkwitz for Missouri. And, you know, I don't think Drinkwitz is really bad, but one, you've got the SEC coaches are just obviously very strong. And then two, unfortunately, Missouri, they're just 17-19 in his 3 seasons there. He had a really good recruiting class a season ago. They finished 7th in the league, headlined by Luther Burden. But this past cycle, 2023, was 12th out of 14. He really needs that good class from a year ago to develop and start paying dividends for the Tigers in order for him to kind of move back up on this list.
Yeah. Okay. Number 11 is a painful one for me.
Yeah.
Billy Napier at Florida, because I was extremely high on him when he was hired by Florida. I thought his Louisiana tenure went about as well as it possibly could have. He elevated their recruiting to crazy levels on the field as a coach, was great. And it's only been 1 year here at Florida, but it was a bad year. And their season win total for the upcoming season is 5.5. So things could get dicey pretty quickly. You go 5-7 in year 2 at Florida, especially with, you know, Georgia winning back-to-back national titles, and that gap seeming to
Tennessee's
widen.
on the rise.
Yeah, exactly. It just would not be pretty. He needs to outperform this year in order to kind of keep the confidence of the fan base in him, because it's definitely waned after year. So, but you know, I still think he's a good coach and a good recruiter. So there's a chance he could dig himself out of this, but I don't know. It's dicey.
It's getting harder and harder. All right, let's move on. Number 10, we have Sam Pittman at Arkansas. So he's 19-17 overall there, 10-16 in SEC play. So, you know, solid, but nothing great. You know, and I got to say, he kind of has a different, maybe at least people have a different opinion of his tenure so far as compared to like Brett Bielema. But Bielema's tenure was awfully similar at the beginning of, you know, they look pretty similar at this point of their careers. Now, Bielema faded at the end and had a bad year to really put icing on the cake for him. But I don't expect that from Pittman. I really don't, especially with KJ Jefferson back for this upcoming season. They should at least have a, you know, solid offense, and he should win them some games, just him being there. And their recruiting's been decent. But you know, hopefully they can take the next step in that regard, just recruit a little bit better, because I like him. I think he does a good job, but it's just sometimes when you don't have that elite talent, it's hard to climb in the SEC West, man. It's just too many good teams.
2024 recruiting class is off to a good start, so maybe
it is. Yeah,
maybe it'll start hitting.
All right, number 9, we've got Shane Beamer, and personally, Beamer has moved up on my list since he was first hired. He has definitely improved the Gamecocks from the mess that he inherited. I thought his first season going 7-6 was quite misleading, since on a team strength level they were worse than their record indicated. But he backed it up last year, going 8-5. Then obviously down the stretch had those big wins against Tennessee and Clemson, and he's capitalized on that. It seems like, with some momentum on the recruiting trail, getting the 17th ranked class in the country. I mean, unfortunately, that's only 7th in the SEC, though. But overall, some very positive vibes in Columbia. Looking forward to seeing some bigger games in Williams-Brice Stadium with Cocky going nuts there.
All right, number 8, we have Mark Stoops at Kentucky. And, it took him a while to get it going there, understandably. His first 5 years were actually pretty much identical to Rich Brooks and Joker Phillips combined previous 5 years before he took over. But since then, they've stepped it up. 7 straight bowl games, which is really, really good at Kentucky. Their highest finish in SP Plus has been 23rd, so they've never, quite been elite. You wouldn't expect that, but they've had a lot of kind of borderline top 30 type teams, which is great. So I could see the argument for him being higher, and I think a lot of people watching this will probably want to make that argument.
Yeah, but like you said, they've never really had like a breakthrough like that good of a team. Sure, they've won 10 games, but schedule's usually pretty soft as far as non-conference. Anyways, moving on. Number 7, we got this one might be a little controversial for some folks. Hugh Freeze at Auburn. He's always been successful, no matter where he's been, and I know his tenure at Ole Miss didn't end well off the field, but you still kind of can't complain with what he was doing on the field there. They were always having good teams. Beat Alabama in back-to-back years. That is an extremely rare thing to do. And he took him to a Sugar Bowl win. He pulled in a top 5 recruiting class there. So the potential for him is sky high. And then, of course, he killed it at Liberty. They went 34-15 and never won fewer than 8 games and won all of his bowl games while he was there. So he just wins. Like, I may not be the most likable guy as far as what he's done in his past tenure, but I don't think Auburn fans are going to care if he comes in and wins like 9 games this year and has a successful career. Like, who cares? They just want to win.
Yep. We're all kind of in agreement that Hugh Freeze, we think he's going to do well there. Number 6, Jimbo Fisher, Texas A&M. He is very difficult to rank since, he had amazing success previously, won a national title. But then at the same time, he's like a bad year away from losing his job now. He signed that greatest class ever a year ago, but then backed that up with a bomb of a season, missing a bowl game. There have been a lot of transfers out of the program, and his offense has been kind of the big issue recently. He hasn't been able to get good, consistent quarterback play. We've talked about before. I really like him bringing in Bobby Petrino to kickstart that offense. And even with the transfers out, they still have a lot of talent that remains, and even brought in the 11th ranked class this year. So I'm willing to have Jimbo in this spot of our rankings, since I am personally cautiously optimistic about the Aggies.
Yeah, it's a big year for him. He could certainly fall if they have a repeat season. He
wouldn't be on the list.
Oh, good point. If A&M can muster enough
enough dough.
That'd have to be true.
It's a lot of money.
A lot of money. Number 5 is Josh Heupel at Tennessee, and a lot of people didn't like the hire, which I think tells you his UCF tenure had kind of mixed reviews. They did slowly get worse under him, but it's kind of understandable. Like, Scott Frost had such a great ending there that it was almost there was almost nowhere to go but down, and that's eventually what happened. But at Tennessee, he's done great, and year 1 was expected. He inherited a mess, and they went a respectable 7-6, which may not sound that good, but it was better than expectations. This past year, going 11-2, just a crazy good season. So,
and that 7-win team was fun to watch. Yeah,
he's the reason. I'm confident enough to put him ahead of some really good coaches is he's an offense. He's like Lincoln Riley in that it's just a guaranteed good offense. So that side of the ball you think is set under him. I will say I need to see more from him before I put him in, like, say, my top 10 nationally. Maybe Tennessee fans would have him there. Just because we've seen it's mostly based on 1 year, I will say. This
Yeah.
this rise of Josh Heupel. You know, like if he hadn't done it,
If he
gone
went
11
8
and
and
2,
4,
yeah, we'd
you
be
know,
like, okay, he's doing well.
good,
But so because of that, you know, we've seen guys like Mel Tucker, Dave Aranda have these big, huge breakthrough years, and then we were all kind of
Ed
singing their
Orgeron.
praises, and then and then a year later,
Drastic.
it comes back to earth a little bit. I'm not saying I
Yeah.
expect that for Heupel, but I would
Sonny
say
Dykes.
my national ranking for him would reflect that possibility at least.
I just keep interrupting Michael. Sorry, Michael.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, just keep going.
I just decided to ignore that one. I just blew through it.
Yeah. I saw the frustration in the face. So
I mean, we've seen
Yeah.
a long enough tenure of Sonny Dykes to sort of like, you know, not crazy overreact after 1 year. I feel like whereas Heupel, there is a smaller sample, so there's maybe more of a wanting to just react to what you've just seen.
yeah, no, I agree. I'm with you there. All right, number 4, we got the Lane Train, Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. He's a good coach. 23-13 so far at Ole Miss, 14-11 in SEC play. You know, and it seems just like he's really kind of stabilized that program after, you know, they've had some up and down years and some rocky situations. So that's it. He's got them, you know, pointed in the right direction, and you feel confident that they're just going to be good. He killed it at Florida Atlantic prior to this job, and
Killed
had an
it,
uphill,
yeah.
had an uphill battle at USC, and you know, with their sanctions when he was there, and he actually did a good job there, all things considered. And I think he actually would have got Tennessee going if he stayed there for more than a year. I think he would have done a good job. So I wish maybe a little more jump in the recruiting. I thought it could take it up just a notch. I mean, they're not bad. Not saying that. They've been 15th and 21st the past couple of years, which is good. But if you want to be like playoff caliber or, you know, that next level, he does kind of need to take the recruiting to the next level to do that. But he's still going to have a good team. I just don't know if he can be elite.
All right. Yep. That's fair. Now we're kind of getting to the elite section of the conference. Number 3, Brian Kelly, LSU. Pretty amazing number 3 to have, since he's, you know, obviously one of the top coaches in the country. But I will say there was some unknown with him coming to LSU. You know, could he fit the culture? Could he recruit? Was he overrated at Notre Dame? But after his first year, there seems to be kind of no denying that Kelly is flat out a great coach. And I think he validated that. I think he ended up validating what he did at Notre Dame, meaning like he almost had them always very good, but, you know, and he couldn't fully break through come playoff time. But I think we can kind of argue now that Notre Dame isn't the easiest place to win. He did an outstanding job of keeping them as high as they were year in and year out. But year one, LSU, very low expectations, 10-4, won the SEC West out of nowhere. With that overhauled roster that he had. He just answered the recruiting question too. He landed the 6th ranked class in the country and has a team ready to compete, you know, nationally in year 2.
Yeah, it's just he has cemented his stature as a really, really good coach, and sky's the limit at LSU. Okay, here we go. So this is, I guess, what everyone's been waiting for. Saban has been number 1.
I feel like this was a bigger debate last year.
You think? No, I disagree with that. I don't think there were that many people putting Smart 1 last year after just.
Okay.
It was 1 national title, and they even split the season series, right?
Like, yeah, fair enough. Okay, but this year, I feel like it's still a relatively easy answer.
I thought so too, Ryan.
Okay. All right. Well, here we go. Kirby Smart ended up number 1 on our list. So, I was the only one who had Nick Saban still.
Wait, you legitimately had him number 1? Oh, wow.
Yeah. What do you? Well, I mean, oh my God!
I don't know. It's not that ridiculous.
Put Nick Saban number 1. My God, I'm crazy. What was I thinking?
That's not that ridiculous.
I don't know. Back-to-back national titles. You know, that's you know.
Hey, maybe Jameson Williams doesn't get hurt. You know, maybe John Mechie. Maybe it isn't back-to-back. But no.
Yeah.
He earned Smart earned. They were the better team the past 2 years. So. Here's the thing. So I I'll make my argument for. The longevity is insane. 15 straight years finishing the top 10. 10 of those 15 were in the top 5, 6 national titles. His last one just 3 years ago. So it's not like we're having to reach that far back. He just pulled in one of the best recruiting classes ever. So he's not slowing down on the recruiting trail. We've seen him overcome every change in the sport. We've seen him overcome, coaching turnover again and again and again and again. So we've seen him do it at multiple stops. We've seen him win a national championship at LSU. Like he's just been a lot. Michigan State did a great job. Like he's Toledo. I know that's going back way far, but
I think like 1 year too, right?
Yeah, 1 year at Toledo, I think, but it was a very good year.
It was a good year.
But we don't know if Kirby can do that yet. You know, he just kind of hit that peak right now. So we'll see how long he can sustain it. I mean, I'm not trying to. I think he'll do just fine.
Yeah, he's going to his 8th year at Georgia,
and they've been to how many New Year's Six bowls in a row? But yeah,
he's not great. But it's based on these past 2 years. Because if you look at the 6 years prior,
he went to the national
Georgia.
He
did go, but I'm saying
title.
No. But I'm saying when you're comparing him to Nick Saban, like 6 years into Kirby's tenure, there was no question. Everyone had Saban still ahead of.
Yes,
not even close. I mean, it wasn't close, but like not really a debate. So it's these 2 years that have kind of pushed him over the top. And to me, it takes more than that. It takes more than that. And I think so. I think right now it's Georgia is the better the program's in better shape. So I can see why you would put Smart ahead, but I don't think
it's not that far.
It's not that far, and I don't think that is necessarily leads to the conclusion that Kirby's the better coach, because that ebbs and flows. So at one point Clemson, people were making the argument for Dabo over. It kind of ebbs and flows who's better, but I don't know. I just think the longevity for Saban is too much. Him going whatever he's gone like 28-4 the last 2 years is not enough. It was too many games, but you get the idea.
It's not a bad take.
Listen, you can make either case for either. I just think with the back-to-back national titles, it's not just one, it's 2 in a row now that Georgia's won, and they were 15-0 this past year. I mean, they didn't lose a single game, 14-1 the year prior. So, and he's like I said, this is going into his 8th year at Georgia, so it's not like it's been it's been over quite a long time now. And then what was it, his 2nd year that they went to the national title and lost?
They did, barely.
It's so he did it right away, and then he's kept it going, taking it to another level. His recruiting is just pretty much on par right there with Saban. So when I'm asking this question, I almost think about it. Who would I rather have at this point? And I would rather have Smart. I mean, maybe his age has something to do with that.
Yeah, ignoring age, but you would still say Smart. That's fair. But
yeah. It's not by a long shot, of course. Saban's the best coach of all time. Like, that's not even really for debate. Saban's just the best ever. But right now, Saban's going to be getting up there. What did he mean, 72 this year? So, back-to-back national champs. I can't go against that.
Yeah. And even though I made the hearty case for Saban, I think it's a reasonable debate. Like, I'm not gonna blame anybody for putting Smart number 1. But okay, let's look at the full list here. And Trey, what stands out to you here?
Well, I think kind of like we mentioned, the top 3 are pretty much in stone. Obviously, I guess you could shuffle a couple of those, but to me, when I looked at the middle section, kind of say 4 through 9, give or take, I think you could make a case for anyone at 4 and anyone at 9. Like, compared to other conferences, I just felt there's a wide range of spots those guys could go in. The other conferences felt like they had pretty tight bands. Maybe outside of the Big 12, which I think was a crapshoot altogether. But some people, they might have Stoops and Beamer a lot higher than us, and I think it's reasonable. But then a year from now, I wouldn't be shocked if we had a guy like, Hugh Freeze in our top 5. There's so much moving and shuffling that could still happen with this list.
Yeah, I think the biggest disagreement looking at this list, like the comments are going to be Jimbo Fisher too high. People, I definitely think people are going to think it's crazy that we have Jimbo Fisher ahead of, for instance, Mark Stoops or even Shane Beamer, Sam Pittman. But I'm kind of okay with it for now. People gave us a lot of crap a couple years ago when we were still pretty high on Jim Harbaugh, and that has worked out. I'm not saying it's going to work out like that with Jimbo, but I think there's the chance, and I think maybe people are kind of maybe overreacting a little bit to 1 year, and also not properly accounting for even the start to his tenure there. Like if you look at just the win-loss record, it might make you think, I don't know. But when you account for strength of schedule, you look at the actual team strength, like you look at SP Plus or FPI or whatever, Vegas Power Ratings, what they had them, they're a lot better than the records would indicate. And they almost made the playoff a couple years ago. So actually looked at his SP Plus rankings the first 4 years of his tenure before this past season, and it was 12th. That was his average ranking in SP Plus.
Yeah.
Like, it's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, they had 3 pretty good years and then 1 really good year of those 4. And then this past year was a dud. I mean, that can happen, and they can still rebound. And I think it will. So we'll see. Come the end of this season, I think he'll have a good year, and then people will be like, okay, they're back to be on the Fisher bandwagon. But when I looked at the list, you can put the list back up, Mike, if you got it. I kind of think like, okay, of the top, like which teams actually feel good about their coach, So in the top 10, I think pretty much everybody except for maybe Texas A&M. Like I think probably Texas A&M fans, I don't know how they feel about Fisher, but I don't think they're probably that high. But everybody else, so. Like even going to 10, I think Arkansas fans are still on the Pittman bandwagon. Beamer, they're 11. Stoops. Freeze, of course, is brand new, so I think they're all on the bandwagon there. So it's like, Napier's no.
Yeah, they're not happy.
Yeah, no, they're not happy at all. Missouri, maybe they're kind of indifferent to Drinkwitz. I don't think they really like him too much because he hasn't really broken through. And then, sorry, Vandy, I'm sure they like Lee, but it's Vandy. Arnett, I'm sure they like him, but he's just never been a head coach, so you just don't know. But
yeah,
I don't know. I just feel like top 9 of the top 10, they're going to feel good about him. But it's weird that Fisher we have 6th, and they're the team that maybe the fans don't have too high of opinion of right now.
No. Well, we'll see. We might end up looking really dumb or really smart with Jimbo Fisher there. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I remember we had a few years ago, the big disagreement was Ed Orgeron. We still had him behind Lane Kiffin even after he won the national championship, had the best team ever. And in hindsight, and everyone said, how did we not have him higher? Hindsight, we were too high. We were too high.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of regret not going bolder with that because we just never quite bought in. Like, I mean, obviously I bought in enough to where I was like, okay, I got it. I can't put him lower than 5th, but oh well. Anyway, thank you for watching this episode of the College Football Bros. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Leave us your comments below. We're always interested to see how people feel about our list, and we will see you next time.